going to be covering the online payment system. And this basically will show you how to create an invoice online and how to record payment as well. So this is also just a little reminder that this webinar is recorded. So if you miss a step and you're worried and can't catch back up, just know that you can always view this later and go at your own pace. We are going to take a couple breaks today for questions as well, and I've got David over here answering questions with me. So with the online payments, there are two methods to take payments and requests for an invoice. The first one is without the online appointment manager. This is what we're going to cover first. Basically, it's when you upload a report to your dashboard, send out your notification emails, you can still create an invoice and your customer can still see it on their end, and you can also still record that you've received payment. The second way is to use the online appointment manager. So we'll go over that after. All right, so to dive in, we're actually going to start at your HomeGauge software. This is a completed report. We're going to upload the report to the dashboard by clicking Upload. So if you just kill two birds with one stone and send out your notification email that the report is ready to be viewed, when your customer logs in, they'll see the invoice ready to go right then and there. Okay, so your report's uploaded, and prior to sending out your notification email, you'll click on the blue link, Request Payment. On the next screen is the Create Invoice screen. You've got your details right here. There's a link right here that will go back to the front page of your dashboard. We'll click on that and I'll show you. Goes back to the report document. Now I'm going to click on Request Payment one more time. And what you'll do is you'll just type in the amount due. So for this report, we're going to say it was $450. Oh, $450. And then I'm going to hit Tab, and now for the customer invoice description, you can type in anything here. I would recommend maybe something as simple as inspection report. Right below that, you have the option to require payment to view documents. If you put a check in this box, that will basically block the document from being viewed until you've recorded that the customer has paid. Some people use this feature, some people don't. For this example, I'm just going to leave it blank. I'm just going to allow them to view the report even if they haven't paid, or even if I haven't recorded that they paid. So I'm just going to leave that unchecked. And then the next step is I'm going to click on this button right here that says Create Invoice Only. Once I click on Create Invoice Only, the next screen will be the payment information. It basically shows that this is the invoice here, the amount due, 0 payments were made. It's got an invoice number, the date that it was created. Over here it's saying it's unpaid. You have the opportunity to click this link right here to go in and edit the invoice or to delete it. It also shows that documents can be viewed without payment. Also on the screen, I'll also point out that you can use this orange button here if you needed to create a second invoice for some reason. This is also the same screen where once you've received payment, you'll record that the payment's been received. And there are a couple links up here that I'll point out as well. This link right here is when you're using the appointment manager to go back in and edit the appointment. This link right here will bring you to invoice emails. So let's say that a customer has not paid, they've viewed their report, but you need to send out a friendly reminder email letting them know the amount due and reminding them of their login information. That's the link you would click to do that. And then this right here just brings you back to the front page of your dashboard to that report document. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Report Documents. And now we're looking at that report, and you'll notice that it says 450 due in red. So the invoice has been created. We haven't sent out the email yet to our customers, so that would be the next step. We'll click on Send Email, and we'll give viewing permission of the report to our agent and to our customer. And we're going to hit Send Emails. And this is basically a notification that the emails went through. Now that we've sent our emails, I'm actually going to go to the customer's dashboard and show you what they see. So I'm going to go to the bottom of my toolbar on my computer, and I've actually already logged in as the customer for convenience, but I'm going to do it again. So, oops. Wrong screen, sorry. So we're pretending that we're the customer, and we've received the email letting us know that our inspection report is ready to be viewed. And I've logged in as the customer. This is the screen that they see once they log in. So it's a slimmed down version of the inspector dashboard. If they have multiple reports, they'd see them all listed here. So the customer would click on View Documents. And now you'll notice in this green box it says Payment Due. Shows the balance and also says, so please contact your inspector to make a payment. They can click here to view the invoice. Of course, you know, my company is HomeGauge, so it has all our details here, and it has our logo here, but it would actually have your logo here and your company details here. And then it's got the details of the inspection report and the total. There's a link right here to print the invoice, so they can print it out if they want. To go back to the main part of their dashboard, they can click Return. And because I did not select to block the document until payment had been received, your customer can freely go and click on Inspection Report and view their report. Okay, so the customer has received their inspection report and they know their invoice. And now they're actually going to contact you and let you know how they're going to pay. So you get a phone call and it's your customer, and basically what they're saying is they want to pay you by PayPal. So they said, hey, we're going to pay you by PayPal. You should get that payment in just a couple minutes. You log into your PayPal dashboard and you realize that you did get payment for the $450. So what you're going to do is to record this payment. And it's pretty simple to record the payment. You basically just click on $450 due And you're back in the same window that I just explained. And the next step is to click on the orange Take Payment button. When you click on Take Payment, it brings up the invoice details, and you simply use this drop-down method or drop-down menu for payment method, and it gives you a bunch of different options. We're going to go to PayPal. You do have to put in some kind of payment note or check number, so I'm going to put in, PayPal authorization 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll put in the date that it was received, and then you hit Record Payment. If you feel like it, you can put more details about who specifically made the payment and things like that. The payer information details would show up on the receipt. But I imagine a lot of people would just hit Record Payment and move on in life. Credit card number is not allowed. Oh, maybe you're not supposed to put in authorized. I think that's actually a credit card thing, so I'm going to delete that. Authorized, note to self, don't put in authorized. So my payment note is 12345 and the date. Okay, I apologize. Okay, so PayPal. So it's not liking my payment note, and I don't know why, so I'm going to put in just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and see if that works. Okay, cool. For some reason, I thought I was putting in an actual credit card number, but I wasn't. Anywho, onward and upward we go. So we've added, we've recorded the payment, and the next screen that you will see shows that the payment was made. It was a success. Let's say that you made a mistake and it actually didn't go through and you need to void the payment for some reason. There's a void payment link there. You can click here for a receipt that you can print out for your records or for a bookkeeper or something like that. If for some reason you want to create another invoice, maybe they added on an additional service that wasn't in the original invoice, you could click on New Invoice and create another one. But basically, you're done. You've recorded the payment, and if you go back to All Reports, you'll see here that now it says Paid $450 in green. So now I'm going to go over to the customer side, and we'll show you what they see. So I'm going down here to Google Chrome, and I'm opening up the customer's dashboard, and I'm actually going to hit the refresh screen right up at the top left corner. And now, because we recorded that they paid, this is what they see. Thank you for your payment of $450. And it shows when the payment was recorded, and there's a blue clickable link to view the receipts. Over here they've got the opportunity to print the receipt, shows the payment time, the inspection date, and then it shows the total paid and the approval, PayPal 12345. So that is what the customer sees. So that's our first example. Basically, just to recap, what we did was upload a report from the dashboard, click on the Request Payment button, put in an invoice amount, and created the invoice, sent our notification emails. Our customer saw the report, saw the invoice, let us know that they paid in PayPal. So what we did, we went back to our dashboard and recorded the payment. And then we looked at what the customer sees now that we recorded the payment. They see a paid receipt. So that is the first way. We'll stop here and take a moment to answer any questions. David, do we have any questions?
No questions so far.
Okay. All right, so the second way to use the online appointment system is to go through the appointment manager. It's a great tool. For the appointment manager, I did a webinar a couple weeks ago on how to do that, so if you haven't seen that yet, definitely check it out. I'm not going to go over everything about the appointment manager now. I'm just going to actually open an existing appointment that is already filled out, and we're going to request a payment and go through the process from there. So we're back in our inspector dashboard here, and I've got appointments along the left-hand side that I clicked on to expand all the different options under appointments. And typically you'd go to new appointment, or you go to your calendar and create a new appointment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up an existing appointment and go through the process with that. So I've got an appointment right here. I'm going to double click on that appointment. And everything's already filled out. I've got the date and the time, the address, port ID. I've got my service selected. So after you select the service, this is where you request payment. Right here, request payment. We're going to put a check in that box, and then for this example, we're also going to put a check in the box for required payment to view documents. You might notice if you've been using the appointment manager that by default it will look like this. So by default, request payment is already ready to go with a check in the box. So you can also set your defaults to include that and also include this. I'll show you at the end how to set your defaults if you would like those to be already pre-selected. So once you've done that, basically you've requested your payment. You're essentially creating an invoice for your customer right then and there. So we'll just scroll down, and we've got an agreement selected. We've got our inspector selected. I've already got my customer lined up. For this example, I'm not going to add a real estate professional, but this is where you would add one if you needed to. So now I'm going to hit schedule appointment. And we'll go through the rest of the process to get this appointment on the books in order to show the rest of our example with the payments. So right now we're at this spot where we need to create the agreement. I'm just going to click Create Agreement Documents below because I don't feel like editing anything. I think it looks good. And the next window is our Send Notifications window. We're basically sending an email to the customer confirming that the appointment has been booked and saying that there's action required, which means that they need to sign the pre-inspection agreement before the inspection can take place. So I'm going to go down here and hit Send Notifications. And there we go. Our appointment has been booked. If I go to My Reports and go to All Reports, I'll see that here's our appointment. Our pre-inspection agreement is already uploaded onto the dashboard through the appointment manager, and our 450 due is already set. So now that that's ready to go, we're going to log in as the customer to see what steps they go through. So going back down here to our Google Chrome, I'm actually going to sign out just to bring it back to the beginning here. So this is what your customers would do. They'd get the email saying that their appointment has been booked and they need to sign their pre-inspection agreement. So I'm signing in as the customer here. All right. Okay, so I've got two reports now, the one from our previous example and then the one from the appointment manager. The customer would click on View Documents, and if you have not seen this before, this is what it looks like to sign the pre-inspection agreement from the customer's standpoint. So first, before seeing the invoice, they do have to sign the pre-inspection agreement. So in this nice green box, it says Signature Required. And they're going to click on Sign Agreements, and they're going to read through the pre-inspection agreement contract. We'll see their invoice amount at the bottom there, and they're going to hit I agree. Joe Wigantonio is going to sign, and then they're going to hit Sign Agreements. The next screen that they see says payments due, balance of $400, and please contact your inspector to make a payment. So now the customer knows how much it's going to be when they show up to the inspection. They can even print out an invoice if they want, so they can click on Invoice. They've got the invoice there. They can click Print. They can mail in a check if they're not going to be at the inspection, or they can, just have everything ready to go when they see you. Okay, great. So now you're at the inspection, and you go and you do your inspection, and the customer gives you a check for the total. Your typical process would be to go to HG Services, download your online appointment. We've got the one right here for the 81 Arlington. That's the appointment that we're going to download. Our report has been downloaded, so we're going to say OK. And now we're going to open up that report. There's the report that we want to work on. And it's basically asking us if the customer data is correct. So there we go. We've got basically the beginning of the report here. And to complete the report, you'd select a template and go through everything like you normally would. And when you're done, you would hit Upload. It says all items haven't been answered. I know that this is just an example, so I'm going to say yes to keep going. But in real life, you would say no, and you'd find the areas where you have not answered all the questions in the report. So now you're in this print options window, and we're going to choose to upload the full report for upload and hit OK. We've got our print preview here, and we're going to click Upload. The report is uploaded. Do you want to send notification emails? Yes, we would love to send notification emails. Okay, so now you're connected to your dashboard, and we've got our pre-inspection agreement there. It's been signed, and we have our inspection report. Nothing's been sent out yet. Before sending out the email that the inspection report is ready to be viewed, we want to actually say that we've recorded that we've received payment because the customer actually paid at the job. So we'll do that before sending out the email. That way, when the customer logs in to view the report, the first thing they see is, thank you for your payment of $400. So to record that they paid, it's just kind of repeating the steps that we already did. You're going to click on 400 due. And then you'll click on the orange button that says Take Payment. Scroll down just a little bit here to record payment. Under Payment Method, you can use the drop down, but we actually did get a check, so we're going to keep it at check. And we're going to put in a check number, 0007, and maybe a date. Well, we'll just put in a check number, 00007. And then we're just simply going to hit record payment. Okay, great. So now it was a success. If it was a mistake, again, you could void the payment. If you need to print out the receipt for some reason for a bookkeeper, you could click that. If you need to create another invoice, you could click New Invoice. But pretty much you're ready to go. So we're actually going to click this link here that says Report Documents. And it brings us back to that front page of your dashboard, to that report, so that now you can send out your notification email that the report is ready to view. You can give your permissions. And when your customer logs in, they now have a paid receipt. So I'm going to click on Inspection Report. I'm going to give viewing permissions, and I'm going to click Send Email. All right, so now the email went through to your customer. Just so you know, for a future webinar, we're going to go over TRMs, and this is what they look like. If you're wondering what this kind of stuff is, you might not have this at this step, but these are pre-selected, set up time release messages that I've already set up. We'll go over that at a different webinar and show you how to use those. So now we're back at the main part of our dashboard. We sent out our inspection report, and we're going to go see what the customer sees. So I'm going to go back down to Google Chrome. For this example, I'm going to sign out and sign back in so you can see the full effect of what the customer experiences. So they've received their email letting them know that their home inspection is uploaded and ready to be viewed. So they'll hit log in. And then they'll hit sign in. Oops, thinking. Hopefully I got the password right. Thinking really hard about this one. Eureka, we are in. So now that the customer is in their dashboard, they'll click on View Documents. And since they already signed the agreement, it says agreements were signed on this date at this time. And now they have this lovely note that says, thank you for your payment of $400. The payment was made on July 5th at this date and this time. Click here to view the receipt. So they can click the link that says view receipt. And this now has a receipt number at the top. It actually shows the payment time. If you scroll down, like in the other example, it has the amount that was paid with an approval. And that's the note right there, check number 0007. And so the customer can go in, they'll return back to their dashboard, and they can click to view the pre-inspection agreement if they want. They can also click here to view the inspection report. But now you have successfully recorded payment, and they now have a paid receipt on their end. Okay, so that is how to create an invoice using the appointment manager and how to record a payment using the appointment manager. There are a couple of things that I wanted to go back to now that we've got the two methods down. We'll take a quick break here just to answer any questions. David, do we have any questions?
No questions so far.
Okay, so apparently there are no questions, so I'll just go into the dashboard and explain a couple other things related to the online payment system. Along my reports, you've got a couple of subcategories here, and one of them, the third one down, is payment status. So over time, as you're starting to use the online payment request payment system, you can click on the payment status link to get a nice snapshot of invoices that have been paid, ones that are still due, so you can send out reminder emails and things like that to follow up for payment. So when you click on payment status, you can go up here to date range, and you can actually put in a custom amount, or you can go, last 7 days, last 30 days, 60, 120, or custom date range. You can also click here to filter invoices as well. So once you put in your date range, you'll see the amount of invoices that were paid and the amount that were unpaid. I've been great, so I've collected payment for everything. So it's a kind of a cool feature just to let you know. If you do have something that has not been paid, if you can click on the address, it'll take you right to that report, back to that payment information where you can use the Send Invoice Emails button to send a friendly reminder email letting them know that a payment is due. When you click on that link, like everything in HomeGauge, you can customize the email that goes out. I'm going to click on View Edit Message just to show you what that message looks like. Of course, your logo would be here instead of the HomeGauge one, but it basically tells your customer this is a friendly reminder that your payment is due. Use the login information below to view your invoice. My invoice is paid, so it's saying $0 is due, but if you had an amount, it would say the amount. And then, of course, if you want the rep to have this email, you could put a check in that box so they could get the same email. Or if you don't want anybody else to get the email, just uncheck the boxes and hit Send Notifications. So the payment status link is a pretty cool tool just to see what's going on and follow up on payments in a pretty easy way. So another area that I was going to go into would be the business insights. This link right here, we'll go into it a little bit more at a different webinar, but I'm going to hit on a couple things in by revenue. So Business Insights is a reporting feature on the dashboard where you can generate different reports based on, data that you've uploaded or data from the appointment manager. So if you click on Business Insights by revenue, you can actually select, revenue per month. And because you're actually going through and recording payments, it will generate a report based upon that. So you can put in your date. We'll do the last 7 days. And I'm going to click Generate Report. There we go. We get a nice little graph showing the amount of revenue here and shows the total number of invoices and the amount. Of course, as you start using the appointment manager or using the request payment system more, you're going to have a lot more data to go off of. But it's a pretty cool feature. You can also use the revenue per service. So we're selecting a date range here for a month. I'm going to generate my report. And this is what I have for revenue per service. I've got, no multiples of anything I actually have. Everything's an individual service. But if you had multiples, it's kind of a cool snapshot to see what service is bringing in the most amount of revenue. Okay, so the last thing I was going to go over would be the steps in order to get credit cards through HomeGauge. So if you go to more tools, and then you click on the subcategory credit card processing. It brings up a very informative page that I encourage everybody to read through that takes you through the steps of how to link up with credit cards through the HomeGauge Dashboard. So when your customers log in, they can click on the green Pay Now button. When they click on the green Pay Now button, it automatically will record the amount as paid on your dashboard. So you don't actually have to click record payment ever. It's just automated. It's a great system and I highly recommend doing it. It's very hassle-free and it's pretty easy to set up. So feel free to check out this credit card processing page and it shows you the couple accounts that you would have to set up ahead of time. One of them is getting a merchant account and the other one is getting the authorized.net gateway. We actually detail a couple options here, Guardian Financial, we actually list their fees and things like that, and authorized.net. And so it's kind of detailed, so I'm not going to go over every little bit of it, but definitely check it out. What you would do, you would set up the authorized.net account and you would also set up your merchant account and then you'd give us a call and we'd take it from there by linking up your accounts to the HomeGauge dashboard. And then we go through a little credit card test payment and then you'd be off and running. All right, so that's the credit card processing part. David, do we have any questions?
We've had a couple here that I can answer them. You may want to answer them for everyone else. How do
Okay, great question. So David was saying that somebody had a question on how do you enter more than one item on an invoice, one for an inspection and one for a radon test. The answer to this question is twofold. If you're using the online appointment system, it's basically broken down for you in one invoice. So if you're in appointments, and we're going to go back to, we'll just go to the calendar and open up, we'll just go to a new appointment here. So I'm in a new appointment on the appointment manager. If I scroll down to services and I click on add or update service, I would select my inspection line item and then I would go to additional services and then I would select my radon and then I would click add selected services. Right here, this is what your invoice now looks like. It breaks it down right then and there for you, and that is the most recommended way to do things. The rest of the process is the same. It just breaks down the two items. So at that point, you would either do the request payment or require payment to view documents. Your customer would be able to pay the invoice. They would pay the $535, the total, but it would be broken down into two line items, if you will. The other way, so if you're doing it the other way where you basically just upload a report and you click on the request payment button, that way you could separate it out two different ways. So I'm going to go back to all reports here. And the previous example that we did, I'm actually going to go to paid and I'm going to void the payment and I'm also going to delete the invoice and kind of start from scratch. Okay, so if you are uploading reports and not using the appointment manager and you want to detail your invoice into two separate items, this is what your report would look like. You'd hit the request payment button. You could say the amount due for your home inspection was $450, and you could go to inspection, home inspection, and then you could click create invoice only. And then you could also go to, if you wanted to separate it out, you could go to new invoice, put the amount due for a radon, we'll say 100. And then we'll go to create invoice only. So now we actually have essentially 2 invoices with one total, but your customers, they would see them broken down that way. So that's another way that you could do it. So if we go to all reports, let's say that you got payment for that one invoice. If you wanted to record payment, you could go to 550 due. You could go to take payment, and we'll say it was a check, so it totals everything up right there. So it doesn't actually, it separates out the line items, but you can record it all in one swoop. So we'll put down the check number, and we'll hit record payment, and it was a success. We go back to report documents, you'll see there that it was paid. So that's another way that you can do it if you're just uploading the report and not using the appointment manager. So let's see if there's any more questions. Okay, so I think what this person is asking is basically if you're using the online appointment manager and the customer has not signed the pre-inspection agreement, will it prevent the customer from seeing the inspection report? And yes, no matter what, through HomeGauge, if there's an agreement uploaded that has not been signed, HomeGauge blocks the inspection report from being viewed. So it's just already coded into the system to always block until the agreement's been signed. Okay. Okay, so I hope that answered that question. I'll give it another minute here because I know it seems like people always have questions about payments, so we'll see. Okay, well, I guess there's no more questions at this point. Feel free to email in anything if something comes up, and know that you can always give us a call and we can always help you out and walk you through these steps if you're confused at any point. So just let us know. Support is here for you, and just give us a call or shoot us an email if you have any questions. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye and hope you have a great day, and we'll catch you on the next webinar topic.